Alright, so for the next one I want to mess with is this guy and that guy. So embossed roller leaves a raised pattern, debossed roller presses the pattern in. And I was planning on using the embossed, I guess. Maybe I'll cut it in half. Actually, that's what I'll do. I will cut it in half and I will use both of them. That sounds like a good plan. Alright, so the colors I'm playing with is, I have this amazing pinky peachy, just soft pink color that has a heck of a bit of metallic in it. If I can get that to show up. Actually, let me change the lighting here. So it usually helps some. Down here? Alright, there we go. So it's got gold in it. It's got a bunch of gold in it. So I'm pretty sure that this is from when I was doing the Phoenix one. So it's got that alizarin crimson and the gold and some black and gray and all kinds of just colors. Where's one of those pieces? There's got to be one of those pieces floating around here somewhere. Find one. Ah, there we go. That's with the butterflies, so that's not the Phoenix, but that's butterflies. But yeah, so that was the color schemes, and somewhere else Phoenix is in here. Nope, I don't see those. Anyway, they're buried somewhere. But yeah, so it was this set of butterflies. I've got a few of those. Yeah, so it was something to do with this set of colors. So there's some golds, there's some bronze, there's some all sorts of stuff, but it ended up being a bunch of white that got mixed in with that batch and made this awesome pink. So as I've said before, a lot of my colors I use end up just being, try to mix in a way that they will come out pretty in scrap, so that I can just blow my scrap pile and come up with new colors. I got this color that way. Last project was blue and gold and white and a bunch of white, and that's scrap. That's pretty, but not for right now. Anyway, so back to this. So this was a 1. Cut out a square on a 1 on the pink, and then white I cut out a square on a 7, 5. And then this is still sitting here at a 1 big slab of gray. That's actually also another mixed color from one of the projects I've done with a lot of purples and teals and blacks and whites and gold probably mixed in there. And so it also has a slight metallic to it. It's hard to tell for sure if it shows up in the camera. Man, so that has a slight metallic to it as well. And then the white is just plain old ordinary white. So I've already adhered these together because I decided to video shortly after playing around, and rolled it out on a 1. I'm going to take it down to probably a 3. Yeah, that looks about right. I'm not quite getting see-through on the scrap off of it. Slice it in half. Back, and then run through on a 1, and then 2, and 3, and no, that needs to be just a tiniest bit longer. Alright, so I've got that. I hate to waste the edges, whatever. We'll cut you down about there. So, plop you on here. It's essentially just double stacked and cut in half because I'm going to use both types of rollers. Oh, and that's backwards actually. I wanted that to be white side down. That was my plan here. It's pretty clean, so let's just cut that there. Here we go. I'm going to cut through there because there's just the tiniest bit of raggedness to the edge of that, so I'm just going to cut that back. All right, and then bring this back up. There. Alrighty. Save that gray if there's any left to be salvaged. Alrighty. Okay, so let's go ahead and go at a 0 here now. Good, smush it down, perfect. That's where I trimmed that back a little the last time. Okay, so now that we have that, typical operating procedure for my rollers. I like to burnish everything down really good. Make sure it's stuck on the tile. Use my hand. I can use stainless steel soap, whichever. Yeah. And I don't want alcohol.
Alcohol.
What is it? Water?
Water?
Oh, okay. Well, I have that too. Alright, so with these edges down good. Actually, instead of using the wide roller, I'm going to go with this side because that's my best edge. And roller, this paper towel. Usually I just spray over the trash can, but I don't want to miss steps on camera, so there we go. Alrighty. So I'm gonna work on this one. Let's go ahead and zoom in on it. And as I've said, start back slightly from the edge, lay it in, put a good amount of pressure, and just a very, very, very slow roll. And honestly, I find it works a little better if I'm standing. And then as you get to the far edge, relax your pressure ever so slightly and let it come off. And then if you've got standing water in there and my towel is still floating around somewhere, and just touch it up a little. All right, and then switch out to the other roller for this piece. And spritz it down again. And this side's fine, so I'm going to start here. So I'm going to go ahead and stand up. Watch out, doggies. pay off at the end. Perfect. That is so, ooh, I have an idea of something I need to try with that roller. But that's for later. All right. Oops. Okay, so this is what I would call debossed. And this is what I would call embossed. So the pattern is fully raised up. Embossed and debossed. The lines of the pattern are laid in. Okay, let's see how that translates to slicey slicey. Let's start with this one. And make sure I have a spot to put my shavings cleared off. And that, and go back there. Okay. No, I don't think that one's gonna work for that. There we go. So, embossed gives really pretty shavings. Like, oh my gosh, those are pretty. I need a piece of white to put that on. Look, I have a piece of white to put that on. I think it's, yeah, that's white. Ta-da! Come on, zoom, zoom. There you go. Yeah, I'll make a really pretty piece too. Okay, so back to shaving. So I am looking to go to the point where the pink stays behind a bit, and I'm getting those perfect shavings off. Just gonna lay you face down. So I got some of that a little deeper than I meant to. So now I'm getting all the way into that base layer. It's because what I had on top was not terribly thick. I'm getting to that base layer of gray really quickly. So need to be careful not to slice too much. Yeah, those are some absolutely beautiful shavings. So be aware that I am just slicing off to the pink.
What did you eat?
Alrighty. So again, really easy to get really pretty shavings with that one. Ooh, that's a good set. All right. Yeah, babe, you did an amazing job on the little blade. The big one, I said that you did an amazing job on this little blade. The big one's not quite right for this process. It's a little too heavy. Too deep. Yep, too deep. It's kind of pretty still though, so I'm gonna leave it. Not quite so much. Alrighty. B.
This is the funny thing.
What? Teasing.
Really.
I'm just teasing.
Feel that one?
Okay.
You almost can't tell the difference, but the point is it gets so fine. That's
crazy.
This is 1,000 grit. This is 5,000.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so babe.
My conical's even more than that. It's like 25,000 or something goofy.
Wow.
It's estimated if it's natural stone.
Wow. So, babe, this is the other way to kind of do what she was doing with the rollers and the color change. Look. It's all schmeary.
More wanting to soak in. It's like polish.
So, lay it out, slice off, and then you end up with the cuttings. But like I was saying, it's not as exact as if you left it in the mold and sliced through and then put it on, but it has a more like organic effect. So it's still really cool. It's just a different effect.
Yeah, because you're fixing your background instead of getting your background sliced as well.
Yep. So now I get both effects as well. I'm not stuck with just the, just what comes off the, off the mat into the background. I get both. I get what I sliced off of plus what I sliced into, and I can multi-stack my colors. But there's a place for the other as well. Oh, that came through really, 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 really pretty. I love this, this right here. That's so pretty. So, again, embossed with the pink and white on top into gray. So it pushed the pink of the background down in, left me with gray flowers essentially. But made for some really, 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 really epic shavings, because oh my gosh, look at all that. And that piece is going to be gorgeous once I push that all down, and that piece of shaving is really cool too. Yeah, anyway, alright. Should probably set that aside so I don't mess that up, so that I have shavings from here too. Okay, so let's see the difference between debossed and embossed. What are you gonna do? So, still get cool shavings, but they're all little pieces, so they don't all go across in one. Yeah? Is that how you're gonna do it? Yeah, so cool shavings still, but way more unwieldy and not as easy to use. Not saying I can't use them, but just not so easy. And as we go on, I think I'm gonna stand by my usual sentiment. Although those are awesome. It's so cute. Anyway, I might save some of those. For the most part, this is just mess. Actually, babe, you got this blade too sharp. It doesn't like take the clay with it. It just slices off of it and leaves it laying there. It's nice though. Yeah, see if I can't do something with some of those. There's a section of shaving. If you'll focus, there you go. They came off pretty even and cool. So if I had white set up, I could probably lay that out and have that be pretty, but I don't, so they probably won't be able to move it back onto white later. So yeah, pretty much thinking these shavings are going to be mostly a wash. And to be honest, I feel like I should have built my colors a little thicker, because or rolled the roller less thickly, or less deep. Don't do much more off. I just want to clean up what's here. Alrighty. So, hopefully gray, white, and pink will make something pretty. Because most of those shavings are hard to reuse. Got a little tray of them, but... So, as I've said in the past, Debossed, I think, leaves the best impression in your slab. Embossed is the most fun for playing with shavings. That is my current theory, and I think I'm sticking to it. There's nothing on there I need rid of, right? I had some pieces sitting behind. Okay. Oops, missed that whole corner. So, debossed roller, pink and gray, embossed roller, pink and gray. I'm going to take a sec before I start cutting out. I grab a couple pictures, so hold on. Definitely a big difference between the 3 resin printed cutters and my new PLA printed cutters. So resin does not get as tight and close of an edge without losing quality, and it actually can even get a little, like, you can see through parts of it there. Yeah, not ideal. PLA printed edges, are wicked awesome. They're so much finer. And able to slice through so much better. Anyway. Okay. And these are always really pretty. Huge one. That's really big. Let's go one down from there. I think right there, actually. Ah, yeah, that'll show it. So, how fine the cut line is on the PLA printed one versus what the UV resin does. So you see how much more that pushes out of the way. And then you can see on the back, I'm gonna have to get an angle, there we go. I have to actually shake and shimmy to get this to cut through, where this just hits the bottom of the plate with minimal drama. Okay, so the big one, and then a pair of earrings, probably about like that in comparison. So I'm going to go a little sideways in the hopes that I can get loose tea down. And get a section of flowers in each of those. Okay. I'm not gonna bother messing with that. Alright, so again, seeing the difference. You see how clean the edges are on those guys? And then look at how messy and mushy the edges are, especially on this one, the big heart. But on these guys, you almost see nothing at the edge of that. Tiniest little bit there, and then you see all sorts of mush on the edge of this guy. These were a little bit better. No, it's still pretty mushy on those edges, so yeah, big difference between which printer you use to produce what you're making. Anyway, alright, so I've got that set to go in the oven, and then what do I want to do here? I think I really like that the long ones. Those are really pretty. I don't know though. Kind of want something bigger. Doesn't eat up enough of those. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, this one's embossed. Okay. And then again. Nice clean edges, very pretty. Oh, and might as well at the very least finish off the guy. Almost. Alright, so I think this guy I am going to run you through. Another one. That's really cool. Oh yeah, embossed shavings. Can never decide what is the best effect. Oh, that's the big one. Big one's just one too big. Is it just me, or is that awesome? Pretty sure that's awesome. Okay. You know what? How do I move it away? Need some gray in it. Just to make sure I can get away with this, because again, right there is pretty stinking epic. Very pretty set. Okay. ready to bake. Alrighty. Finishing off the set. So I've gotten in the habit of leaving them attached to the tile and running through, let's see, it's the resin I'm using. So not their low viscosity. And I usually just run the outline, make sure it pushes all the way to all the edges till you get just a nice little pool like that, and then fill in the middle. And a very, very, very light squeeze. Bigger piece like this, I will actually squeeze some out. But on the small pieces, I kind of just let what flows out with just the tiniest bit of pressure. And then the other thing you want to watch is that you have enough fill that it keeps it to the edge without having so much fill that you go over the edge. So again, small ones, just a nice light little bit of, tiny bit of pressure, keep a smaller bead on the end, so, and then backfill that center bits. And bigger one, still moderate pressure around the edge because I don't want to overflow it. And just kind of watch the resin move and push it to the edge. And then a little squeeze as I fill in the middle. And then, I'm not sure how much, yeah, actually you guys are getting a good bit of the reflection up there. So I'll use that reflected light to check for bubbles and hairs and imperfections. Careful with those because something about that rounded curve makes me feel like those will come off easy or overflow easily. So gotta just big old. This one is the heavier duty, the wind resistant one. It came in a 5-pack from Costco. The wind resistant one has got like a longer, darker flame, or like less colorful flame. But it's definitely more like a butane style. So I keep a good bit of distance and just kind of slowly run it over and kind of make sure all the bubbles are popped. And then I will use that bit of light, you guys can see it there, but I usually leave my thing flat and just use my head and move around and use that bit of a light line to double check and make sure I've got everything. Nice short pass with the lighter like what I did is about all I can get away with. Anything more than that, and it has a tendency to make it too, I don't know, kind of loosens up the viscosity a touch, and it can send it chasing off the edge. The other thing I want to check is that my resin is all the way to the edge. Hold on. Guys! Hey! Hey! Quit murdering your friends. Thank you. Want to take a minute and make sure that everything is all the way to the edge because anything that's not fully full will recede back. So I think I'm seeing on this little guy, use just a tiny bit more. And that looks a little light. This one has a spot that's not quite to the edge. And this one definitely is not quite on the edge there. So usually that means it can handle just a touch more resin. And the other thing to watch for too is if you see the same edge on all of them missing resin, you probably have a tip on your table. This table has been leveled, so fortunately I don't have much of a problem with that.
So then my little resin light goes over them. Let me zoom out for you guys. So that's the one I'm using. It's got just a series of lights. Basic on off. It can do either 180 seconds or 30 minutes and then start pause. So I line that up over them. Fortunately, that batch got cut out in a nice little cluster, so they fit under it very easily. And turn it on, and then I'll leave it run for a couple minutes. And then be back once those are all cured.
And they made it out of the oven. And all their shiny, shiny, shiny glory. So yeah, the resin definitely lights up all the little bit of glitter and such that's buried in there. And just put such a pretty shine on them. So the reason I like doing them still stuck to this tile is because I otherwise was having trouble with them curling when I put the resin on. And then trying to get front and back resin and keep it smooth without having trouble with the curvature or parts getting too fat or running off the edges was getting frustrating. So this seems to be the best way I have found so far to resin. So I do get the shiny back with the little spots and divots because I'm on the glass, the shiny glass. However, it's a really pretty finish, I think, and it gives it a little bit of texture and a little character, and to be honest, I kind of like it. So I'm going to currently be leaving them like that. The other option too is now I can put something else behind it and glue them onto another layer if I choose to, because they're still fully flat. And I will just take a little sanding block to the edges and just kind of clean up the edges real quick, but it only takes a half a second. Yeah, and they usually just kind of a little pressure and they pop right off. And you get up under a corner or give them a little bit of a pivot. Try not to use the blade because I find it wants to cut into them a little bit. Just a pivot. There we go. These guys don't have a good pointy spot. Usually if I just get at the point. There we go. Alright. So yeah. And these guys were the gray behind, a little shine to it. Couple deviations, but honestly I think it looks just adds character and looks kind of cool, so I'll live with it for now. Like I said, these cutters do not cut nearly as well as this is one of the ones that one of the cutters that had been printed on my resin printer, which is what makes such nice edges or makes nice rollers, but it does not put good edges on a cutter. So these will take more sanding to get correct. Yeah, you can see right there. Get to where you can see it. You can see there's just an edge still stuck to it and whatnot. And take that whole edge off. But they do clean up, so they're not useless. I just prefer the other version. But yeah. So there's those. I'll have to figure out how I want to hang these guys. A little wider hearts like that. Might hang them on a corner, and when I rebuild this cutter, the smaller ones, I'll definitely do a little bit different where they're just a little bit better shaped. But I was trying hard to get rid of the too pointy divot here because then the resin runs off really easily. So having that curvature makes it a little safer to resin. And then this set, and versus these guys. So let me think. This must have been debossed, and this must have been embossed because, wait, no, I'm backwards. Yeah. Pink got pushed in, so that's the main pattern. So that's debossed, and this was embossed. The main pattern got left up and got sliced off. So, embossed, debossed. Wait, backwards. Debossed, embossed. I can never remember. I'll have to look it up when I go back because it is now the next morning. But yeah, and then I love this set. I love scraps. Oh no, so this must be, this is embossed. Embossed, debossed, definitely. So yeah, like I said, the debossed gets you the color pattern. The top layers go deeper. So that brings your top color and the main pattern into your base clay. This brings all the external elements into your base clay and leaves the top raised so that you can slice it off and make pretty cuttings. But, and honestly, I can't say one's better than the other. It just depends on whether you want your lines in pink or you want your lines in gray. And you can always reverse your pattern to, or reverse your clay stack too, and change it out. So it really is kind of hard to say which one's better, which is why I sell them both. But fun stuff. Loving it. Anyway, have a good one, guys. So back to all the awesome shavings. These are from the embossed version, and I white down there to put them on. Let's see. Easiest way I find to kidnap these and get them moved. There's a couple options. Often a knife will do it. And if I remember correctly, I had these up, yeah, I had these on there upside down. So I'm just gonna lay you down. Doop. And pressure to stay in there. Oh, I missed half of it. And where did you come from? That's the question now. Whatever. That guy can go right there. There we go. So it's kind of pretty. Apparently, I have hairs floating around in here. Not unusual. Super pretty like that. So what else? There we go. Yes. Okay, so those are tucked in there nicely and look super pretty. Keep that accessible. Alrighty, so do I want to start cutting them out now? I think I do. So something about that I just kind of like as it is. And I need to get more of my PLA printers or cutters printed up. That's not going to be big enough. And that might be too big for where I placed it. And some more. Quiet, guys. Ah, there it is. That's what I'm seeing. Just like that, actually. Make sure all my edges are right in. So sometimes I really enjoy
Merlin, no.
So sometimes I really enjoy the look of a single piece. And what's nice about that is I can then take this piece of white and slice off the little bit of pink that's in there, and I have not used much of this at all now. So I can run through and flatten it again, or I can just use another side of it. Because now I want to make a matched earring for that if I have another piece similar enough and pretty enough. Oh yeah. So digging back through my scrap pile, I think I want less gray. Go. So I want the side that has less gray. There we go, perfect. And let's see if I can't get that to that way. Get you to lay down. And you out of there. Come on, you can do it. Come on, little guy. And lift a little and push you that direction, and then lay you back down. Not perfect, but good enough. And then I don't want that to go so much higher because I want to mimic the effect of the one I already have on there. So lay you down. So again, super pretty. That's on that side. Flower there, so I want to slice through the flower. I like that. Should do it. So there we've got a nice little, pretty little pair of earrings. I'm going to leave those pressed there because it's easier to, for me, it's easier to do my finished work if I bake them on glass and leave them there. So I leave those, and then I sliced out the remainder, drop pieces, sliced out the remainder of the pink off the white. So that goes in the scrap pile, and now this just is plain white and can be rolled and used again. So, less waste the merrier. I have to do that in a minute. And then, not sure that this quite jives with that, so I might have to try another effect because, well, I don't know. Actually, that might be able to make it work, to be honest. I'll zoom you guys out just a touch so you can see a little more. So, do I want... Oh, no, it's more like... Oh, slightly over half and slightly more in the bottom. And through the outside edge. And that looks like that will go nicely with that pair of earrings, actually. So, and that is that. And then I can either use that or I can slice it off and get my weight back. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with that set. That's super pretty. So yeah, that's how I use the scraps. And I'll just keep sitting here and pull the whatever I don't like off the white, re-roll the white, lay it down, and stack more things on. So until I'm out of stuff to stack. Anyway, but yeah. Let's see, let me roll a little bit more and then I'll get back to you. Actually, I might leave this here. Might as well cut you, because that's not going to be connected anyway. Ask you if you will pretty please reconnect yourself. And then see if there is anything else that can be done in this amount of space. Okay. So we have the less is more option and the more is more option. Make sure that just has the feel of the ends all the way down in there. And I won't. That's awfully pretty. So we're getting less of the intentional patterns and more of just what the Mukumigane gave us that looks good. Let's get a little more cleanness. There we go. And then again, sit here and slice the pink bits off the leftover white as much as I can. It goes back in the white pile. And that can go back in the white pile. And it depends on how salvagey I want to get, because this is all going in my scraps pile, so a little more white's going to soften up that pink for the next color I go to use. So at the moment I'll have a pile like this. It's going to have a little more gray and a little more pink to it, but it's going to be a pretty color, I think. The question is if that's going to be a pretty color, throwing that touch of pink into the gray. So I'll see what happens. Yeah, I think that's really pretty, actually. I like that set. So necklace definitely goes with those earrings, that charm with those earrings, and then that just for visually interestingness. And then the question is, do I use through the rest of the scraps or scrap them? Oh right, I forgot about these little guys. I've got some, so this is off of the debossed version, but I got some really pretty little center flowers out of that. So that's something I could do something with, or I could save them for later, or I could bake them and use them to stick into clay at some other point in some other project. Who knows? Don't have to decide right now. I think that's always the tricky thing for me, is the deciding. There's so many decisions that get made when playing around with this stuff that I have to turn off the deciding making part of my brain and just play. That's when I start looking and planning and plotting, nothing gets done. But when I just roll out a color and let my hands start working, that's when cool stuff happens. So yeah, makes doing videos hard though, because I need to plan for videos. But anyway, alrighty, I will throw these in the oven and be back. Alright, and this is the ones from the debossed. For some reason, I I like that bit of funkiness, so let's see. I'm gonna keep a little contrary because I want the underside of that and just go bloop. See if I can grab it this way. Nope. Where's my knife? Come here, Newfie. Come on, you know you want to make a new friend. Come on, follow it up. Follow you. You can do it. There you go. And all of that. Alright. Plus a little flour, but I don't want it. Oh. Way up. There we go. Alright. That goes there. Let's see if that will loosen up a tiny bit. Spread out just a tiny bit, maybe. Okay, there we go. Just set you there instead. Bring a little flour or two in here and there. Another little swirl. Just doop. It's just a gray chunk. That's kind of just a gray chunk. Now, other side that you have a little visual interest. And then a couple of flowers here and there. There. A little gray flower there. Do that, man. Prefer to stick to the other thing, not what you want them on. Nope. Alrighty. A little bit of visual interest. And it's just a matter of playing around, placing stuff, seeing what you think feels right, and smooshing it down. And some of this is really thick because it's like my first level shavings. So it's going to take some work to get down in there. Blended. You want to work it so you feel that it's flat, and when you look at it that there's no raised edges left. You almost want to feel the clay kind of mush a little under your fingers, which is why it's really nice to use freshly conditioned, at least background sheet, even if your cuttings have been sitting overnight or night or two. A lot of times it works best to go ahead and hit it with the roller, through the roller one more time, so that you get an even finish. So it started on a 1 and I finished it on a 1. And yeah, that looks actually fascinating. So again, debossed. As much as I prefer the embossed shavings, debossed shavings can be really cool too. Just different. A little bit of change. cutters haven't I used? I really need to run through and do a few more of my varieties of cutters. Back up just a little bit in my PLA because I've gotten spoiled and now I don't want to use any of my old cutters any longer because they don't cut as nicely. No, I think they're going smallish here, so about like that. So I want something where I can get a little bit of like that, and then what did I like? I liked that, and then I like that. So yeah, I think that will do. So we'll go in here. I like that a lot. And then there's a flower there that I'm trying to catch. A little wiggle. And then it was these two flowers here. And that bit of shape upward. That's pretty. And again, kind of the goal in my mind of using the scraps is taking advantage of all the negative space. So I like it to have a bit of the background showing through because the pieces that are built on a slab are going to be completely and totally filled. So I want to do something that looks different. So rather than rebuilding out a whole nother slab, a lot of times I'll just play around with the cutting or the scraps like this, where I take the, you know, my favorite parts of them and make them the centerpiece of my design rather than off to the side or, you know, lost within the design. So yeah, you know, see how those came out. Very pretty. And then I could do something with that guy still. And the rest of that, I just need to cut a little pink off and I still have some white. So you're pinkish, and you're pinkish. The rest is pure white still, so perfect. And this too, I can send all that back to the white pile. Okay, so what do we want? Guess I'm going back to, you're too big, way too big. Still too big. Just fits it. Yeah, I'll go one smaller still. So it'll be a small pendant. And again, it's the fun of Makumigani to me, is the abstractness of all the details. That's really cool. Even that little piece is pretty. Okay, to the oven with the set too. Okay, I went ahead and rolled out those balls of color to show you guys real quick. So that's the original gray. So that has, the new one has more white and more pink effect. That's the original pink, so you see the touch of gray to it. But it's still a really, really, really pretty color. So I can add the pink into this and make a whole new pink to do another round of something and more mass, which I'll probably do. And then I will likely mix the grays in together because I don't think the pink ruined the gray, just warmed it up a touch, which is really pretty. And again, it gives me more to work with in the next round. So I'll probably do that, and will be barely noticeable difference from the colors it started as, but gives me another new palette to play with. So yeah, I like it. It's looking good. Okay, those are done. So slightly more pink than it was, but still toned down a little bit more gray from the original pink. but I like it too. It's very pretty. Now it's enough to do something with. And then the gray, again, like I said, you barely could tell the difference between what it is and what it became because it didn't have tons of pink in it. So, yeah.